Are you interested to see how that sign was made? That's right there. If so, stick around. Hey everybody, my name is Sam and welcome back to Samcraft. That's right, in today's video I have another project on the CNC, and that is to make this Avengers, THANOS, glove, cool, I don't know, whatever, sign on my Shapeoko Pro. This project starts where every single other CNC project starts, on the computer. So let's go. I'm using a new software called Carveco Maker Plus for this design. If you want to check it out, there's a link to it down below. I started off by buying the image, or the SVG file, off of Etsy. Yeah, that's right, I paid. I am more than happy to pay an artist for their design, for me to be able to replicate and make in my shop. I am not an artist, I'm not very artsy-fartsy, and paying the low price for the image is worth it to me. I have no problems at all paying an artist for their work, using any of my pieces, and keeping the project going as a whole. I started off by loading this image into Carveco Maker Plus, and then it was pretty simple as far as running the Vector Doctor features and other things to make sure that it was all good and ready to be cut. I'm not going to go into details on technicalities because I'm still learning the software. However, Carveco has a lot of tutorials that are awesome. That being said, I will briefly explain how I understand what I did. I imported the image into Carveco. I ran through a couple of tools that it has as far as cleaning up the vectors and preparing the digital design to be cut on a machine. Whenever you get a file, you have to always go through the step of making sure that what you have is going to cut well on your machine. And that means being able to edit and tweak and omit some things that look cool on the computer but don't really pan out in real life. I had to do a couple of these things, but the easiest thing for sure was running a tool called Vector Doctor. It's an automatic thing that scans the file and tells you where you got problems. Very cool to use. A huge time saver. Once everything looked good in the software, I went ahead and set it up to do a V-carve, but also include a roughing pass with an 1/8 inch end mill. This is really cool how I could just tell it, I want to V-carve all this. And yes, I would like to rough it out with a tool. Thank you, done. It was really easy on the calculation side and it worked out great. Once the V-carve tool paths were put in place, I then just set up a simple profile cutout and I was good to go. I saved the job as a G-code file and went into the workshop to begin cutting. I'm at that magical moment where I have the painted piece on the table, clamped down, ready to go. I have found my zero, I have my file loaded up, and now it's time to press go. Or in this case, start. The first step is the roughing pass, and this is going to be done with my 1/8 inch end mill. If I remember right, the total job time for this is about an hour, just for the roughing. This whole sign total estimated in the computer is about 4.5 to 5 hours. So, let's go. I'll bring you guys in close for this process, and then we're going to cut to time lapse because it's an hour long. That was incredibly fast. The computer said it was going to take 45 minutes. It took 10. This is good though. I'm glad to see that it's on this side of the "we're not correct" line than the other side. Let me go ahead and swap out my bit. Now it's time to put in the V bit to 60 degree, and we'll keep this party rolling. That V-carve turned out pretty good. Last step in this is to load a 1/4 inch end mill and do the profile cutout. The carve and everything came out very well. I kind of messed up a little bit when I did this model. I punched in the thickness of my material at 1/2 inch, and I forgot this is 13mm plywood, so it did not cut completely all the way through the plywood for the cutout. That's okay though, it got a lot of it out, and what I can do now is go use my oscillating tool and cut it out, and then probably use my router bit, if I can find my flush cut bit, and just zip around the little leftover bits and clean up the edges. Along with that, I'm also going to do a lot of hand sanding. The V-bit left a little bit of burrs here and there, a little bit of fuzz. Nothing bad, but I want to try and make this look as good as I can. So let's hit this thing with the sanding apparatus while we're there as well. This is actually so thin that I can see the outline as the light shines from the other side. So I'm going to use my razor blade and just score and go ahead and cut as much as I can. There we go. First look at it. Looks pretty cool. Now let's trim up all this onion skin. Which honestly what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my razor blade and just trim up all this. It's so thin that I think that's going to be the quickest and probably the safest way. I don't want to mess the sign up at this point. Now I can start sanding. A whole lot. I don't know about you guys, but I really like the way that sign turned out. Looks pretty good over there too, doesn't it? Well, don't worry. That's not its permanent home. It's going somewhere else in the future. This was a fun project to do. It was nice to do my very first painted and then carved kind of two-step method of a sign on the CNC. It was pretty easy to do as well. I am very glad that the tool calculations that these program and the computers told me would take 4 hours really only took 1 hour on the Shapeoko Pro. I don't know if that was just miscalculations of the software or the variances between designing in one program, Carveco Maker, and cutting in another, Carbide Motion. I don't know. Either way, I'm glad that it was on the shorter than expected timeline than on the other side. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave them for me down below. I love to read them. Otherwise, take care, and I'll see you guys next time in the workshop.